I'm the subject matter the last couple weeks, and you know, in everyone's defense, I probably haven't. I've waited for this opportunity, I guess, to really have a real conversation with somebody about whatever it is I am. So people are just trying to find who's this Oliver Anthony guy, and what is he, and where does he work, and who did he vote for, and what's his family like, and yada, because they want to sort of build this image of whatever it is that the person behind the song represents, for better or for worse.
Right.
The people who agree with it want to, you know, I don't know. It's really funny to watch on my end, because obviously I know what's true and what's not, and so like just even what I've skimmed through of people sending me like singing at the Super Bowl, like how many people have formed an opinion about whether or not I should be paid to sing at the Super Bowl. Like, I'm not singing at the Super Bowl. That's just somebody made up. But you know, there's been hundreds of hours of people's time wasted probably talking about all these little like things that don't even exist. It's just somebody made them up and put them on the internet, and so I'm just letting them ride. I think it's great.
It's wild.
I just think it's great, like that. At least the last couple of weeks, I've been able to entertain everyone and get everyone's mind off like all the other horrible stuff that's going on in the world right now. Like, at least everybody can have a good laugh, you know. So,
well, I mean, it's a subject of discussion. So like everybody is getting involved, and then somehow or another it became cultural. And then there was Dwight from The Office.
Oh yeah,
he chimed in that if he was going to write a cultural anthem, what did he say? Something like he wouldn't write about overweight people on welfare. He would write about billionaires and their taxes.
Yeah,
there is nothing funnier than millionaires talking shit about billionaires. There is nothing funnier about millionaires pretending these billionaires are out of touch.
Oh yeah.
And then, you know, take Dwight from The Office down to West Virginia. You know, take him through those coal mining countries. Take him through those places in Appalachia where people have extreme poverty. And pills have ravished those areas. Take him through there.
And it's everywhere. Yeah, the sad thing is it's everywhere now. It's not.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. People right off the get-go, I guess because it was Radio WV that posted the original video, but like I've never once advertised myself as being necessarily from the mountains. My grandfather grew up in western part of Virginia in the mountains, but I'm from Farmville, which is technically Piedmont. But even throughout rural Virginia, that poverty is a big issue and drugs are a big issue. And I mean, it's not just even in the rural areas. You go into downtown Richmond or any downtown anywhere for that matter. It's almost like these problems exist everywhere now and I think, I mean, obviously they are, because that's why the song resonated the way it did. The problem for me was well, I knew that I needed to do this. Like, I knew I needed to. I procrastinated with music a long time. I mean, I'm 31. I've been playing guitar and singing on and off since I was a kid. Like, my grandma was in a band years ago, and so like I remember as a little kid, what got me interested in all of it was going, you know, Dukes of Hazzard when I was a kid. I was like 5, and I used to sit with my grandma, and we'd sit and watch Dukes of Hazzard and watch Waylon Jennings pick that guitar. Of course, I had no idea who Waylon Jennings was, but that just like I just fell in love with that, and so grew up listening to like that 70s country, and she loved all the old stuff like the 50s and 60s, and even in the 70s, even, you know, Janis and all that. And so like she really introduced me a lot into music when I was a little kid, and so like I just kind of held on to it, but never pursued it the way I should. And then I'd play at a bonfire party, or I'd play at whatever, it's a friend's house, and everybody's like, man, you got to do something with this. You don't want to waste this talent you've got and whatever. And that would almost make me feel even shittier, because I'm like, oh man, I suck. Like, I'm such a piece of crap for not doing something with this. And so yeah, like when I was outside of work, it's like I'd drink, I'd get just absolutely stoned, and I would just sit around and try to think about anything but what it was that I really needed to be doing, which was like, and it's kind of like funny, but that's ended up what kind of sparked me into like writing all these songs and doing all this stuff, because it's like I don't know, just like with you, probably with what you do, jiu-jitsu or whatever, it's like for me, songwriting it gets my head, like you said, getting your head clear, you know, because that's all you can, songwriting is interesting for different people, but now that I've been in the industry for 2 weeks, and I've talked to like
now that you've been in the industry, you conquered it.
Now that I'm an industry expert, it's like some of the other musicians I've talked to, like the people I've looked up to over the years, they experience this too. But certain people, when you songwrite, it's a very it's dramatic. Like,
do you write all your own songs?
Yeah, but it's.
Have you been accused of not writing your own songs?
Very early on, yeah, because since I guess it's not even my stage name, it's Oliver Anthony Music, and so it's supposed to represent music from Oliver Anthony music as my grandfather, and so he grew up in the 30s in the mountains and used to tell all these wild stories about how life was back then. But the music's just sort of a characterization of like that period in time and those people, and that's. So yeah, when
so your real name is not Oliver?
Christopher Anthony Lunsford is my real legal name, and so that's what's on like if you look up the songwriting.
Why did you decide to sing as Oliver Anthony? Just in
well, like I said, I have it. I just had the YouTube channel listed as Oliver Anthony Music, just because like that's sort of the demeanor or the, like I said, the character I was like that older Virginia style music, like. If you go on YouTube and you look up that type of music from back then, like those old recordings of people, like that's what I just love, that type of stuff.
Do you think you're going to keep that name?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people still call me Chris, and I've posted on social media, call me whatever. I mean, I've been called a lot worse than either of those things, but yeah, it'll stay Oliver Anthony Music indefinitely. Yeah. It's a special name, and it's a special name to me not only because it was my grandfather's name, but it's sort of like, to me, it reminds me of how different things were back then. But he was born Oliver Anthony, but everybody called him Anthony growing up, and so like he always thought his name was Anthony Oliver, and last name Engel, and so like it wasn't until he was in his 60s and going to retire. He realized that his name didn't match his birth certificate, so he had to actually change his legal name when he was in his 60s. But it's because
he thought his name was Anthony Oliver.
Yeah, and so
his whole life.
But his legal name was, and so it's and his parents named him. So it's just like, but all the paperwork back then was so scattered up because a lot of people were illiterate, and of course documents weren't tracked as well as they are now, and so it's like there's people in the family that have a different spelling and it's the same last name but a few letters are different and stuff, but it's just kind of cool, like but he just thought that was crazy. He had to change his name when he was 65 so he could draw his retirement and all, because his social security and everything was under a totally different name. But
that's crazy.
So it's just special to me. He's like the only other one in the family like me. Most of our family's like average height, 6 feet and under, but he and I were both 6'6", redheaded, left-handed. Like I don't know. In a lot of ways, I thought it was special to kind of respect him. He passed away in 2019, and that's kind of when I guess that's when I first kind of adapted the name for the music. I didn't really get serious with anything until probably
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, until a couple weeks ago. Probably until I think I uploaded the first original. Like when I decided I was in it to win it, and I really wanted to make this thing happen. It was probably May of last year when I uploaded Ain't Got a Dollar, or it might have been Rich Man's Gold was the first one I uploaded on YouTube. But that's when I decided, like, all right, I'm doing this thing. But yeah,
so you were just smoking too much weed, drinking too much, and just procrastinating.
Yeah. And so like anxiety is definitely something that's underestimated. I used to but I used to just not really understand when people talked about mental health and anxiety, because everyone gets stressed out over stuff, and so you think of anxiety as being just like this normal phenomenon everyone deals with, but your mind can really put you in a dark place to where that thing it just holds on to you like a and it just makes it very difficult for you to do anything. And so I spent at least 2 years of my life almost constantly just having what felt like just a knot right here, just wrenching at me.
Well, that's especially true for people that are pursuing a non-traditional life, that doesn't have any guarantees. It's a wild life to try to be an entertainer, like to just to choose to try to make it in this wild world of people that are singing and making songs, and you want people to pay attention to you. Like, do you know how many fucking people are singing? Yeah. How many people can sing? How many people are recording things? And now with YouTube and the like, how many people are putting stuff up on the internet for other people to enjoy? It's a lot. Well, the idea that you're going to stand out. So that you're filled with anxiety just because of that, because this future's uncertain.
Yeah, I think for me, a lot of the anxiety came from me just feeling like I was running out of time.